None, we'll go to opponents. Be sure you've signed in the back, and I would just operate like the proponents did so that we can expedite the testimony to the best of your ability. Representative Ballance, you may start.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, I am Nancy Ballance, B-A-L-L-A-N-C-E, House District 87 in Ravalli County. As most of you know, the CSKT Water Compact came to the 63rd legislature very late last session with virtually no time to read it, let alone analyze it and understand the impacts. It failed to pass in 2013 and was sure to come back in the 2015 session, and here we are. I and a few other legislators left the session in 2013 determined to understand this 1,000-plus page compact and its impacts. Impacts if the compact was not passed and the tribes filed their claims by July 1, 2015, and impacts if the compact was passed. There was a lot of discussion and documentation cautioning about what might happen if the compact was not passed, but very little about the impacts and implications if the compact was passed. Many of us had concerns about the potential legal, environmental, and economic impacts of passing the compact, but they were largely ignored by the Reserve Water Rights Compact Commission and by the Water Policy Interim Committee. So in January and again in March of last year, I and Representative Regier brought a letter to the Environmental Quality Council signed by 48 other legislators requesting that the Environmental Quality Council initiate a study to determine the environmental, legal, and economic impacts if the compact were to be passed by the legislature. Our request was passed over to the Water Policy Interim Committee, so Representative Regier and I attended that meeting and every subsequent meeting, and again asked on behalf of the 50 legislators that the impacts be studied. The result was an environmental study to be done by a technical working group led by the Bureau of Mines and Geology, and a legal study led by the Legislative Legal Counsel. The economic study was a private study requested by some landowners in Flathead Valley to be done by the University of Montana. The resulting legal review left many of the questions we asked unanswered or with answers that conveyed much uncertainty. Did not answer the most basic questions, and they're still unanswered. What is the purpose of the reservation? What is the amount of water required to satisfy that purpose? And what is the quantity of water provided in this compact? These questions remain unanswered. The environmental review focused almost entirely on the water use agreement, which was subsequently changed. The model that was used was found to be a planning tool only and was found to be too general to support the proposed water deliveries in the compact water use agreement. The review also found that none of the in-stream flow values on or off the reservation were based on fishery science or fish habitat needs. The review also found that shallow wells over the entire reservation would be negatively impacted by removal of water from irrigation canals and by operational changes proposed in the water use agreement. Finally, the economic study, the private study that was to be reviewed by the Water Policy Interim Committee, was never delivered. So here we are again. We received the new compact January 12th, a month ago, during session, and the appendices were made available on a thumb drive about a week ago. Once again, over 1,000 pages, the compact, the bill, the appendices, during session, when none of us has time to read it, let alone study it enough to really understand what we're voting on. In conclusion, the only conclusion I can draw is that given the major areas of legal, environmental, and economic uncertainty, given the complexity of this compact, given the forever nature of this compact, meaning it can't be changed, we can't modify it when we come back next session, given this new concept of off-reservation water rights that will have far-reaching impacts in Montana and other states, and given the unequal treatment of Montana citizens, I can only conclude it would be irresponsible to obligate the citizens of Montana to this agreement, which once again came too late and still has serious legal, environmental, and economic impacts that have not been made clear to this legislature. Mr. Chairman.